And on this week's episode, I'm really excited to introduce our next guest. He's a great personal friend of mine, and he's also my brother-in-law, and really looking forward to taking the time to interview him. Welcome aboard, Ryan.
Yeah, g'day, Chris. Thanks for having me on. Absolute pleasure to be here.
Ryan, can you tell me about a time when you felt like it was all just getting a little bit on top of you?
There were probably a couple of times where I felt that my mental health was getting on top of me. The first time that I remember was early 2019. It was a combination of the industry that I was in at the time, relationship and financial insecurity. I was certainly struggling there. And the combination of all those three things just built this weight on my shoulders that I couldn't keep up with anymore. I just couldn't keep my shoulders up. And the longer it went on, I felt the expectations of people got higher, and it just got a bit too much for me. And that was the first time that I felt like it was starting to get on top of me. But
was there anything specific that led up to that point?
There was no specific point that led up, to that moment in 2019. It happened to be all three factors combined. It was like a horrible storm. You just got the right conditions or the wrong conditions, as it may be, and it was just a difficult time. But no, there wasn't anything specific, and I think that's what people don't understand about mental health issues is for some people there may be one specific point of trauma or past experience where they can link it back to. But for a lot of people suffering from mental health issues, it can actually just be a combination of factors, and that's what can make it so difficult.
And how did you know that you were starting to struggle and you need to get some help?
Yeah, Chris, great question. How did I know? There was a point in, that first point in 2019 that I was talking about is I was driving down the main street of my town, and I remember a truck coming towards me, and it's kind of hard to explain, but I had this weird out-of-body experience where I felt the car drift towards the line of the truck, and I just couldn't do anything to stop it. I wanted to stop, I wanted to go the other way, but for some reason I kept just going towards the truck. And I was just very lucky. I was very fortunate. I, for some reason, snapped out of it, dragged the car away from the truck. Didn't miss it by much. Wasn't a very fun experience, but that was the first moment that I knew that, I'm really struggling with mental health issues, and I certainly want to sort out help after that, that's for sure. Yeah, what advice would I give someone struggling now is build yourself a great support network. I was very fortunate. I've got a very loving family, and I've got some great friends that have been there with me throughout the whole thing, throughout all of my mental health issues, and they've been phenomenal. And if that's my one advice, is build that support network. And if you haven't got that there, go seek professional help, because it is so important that you get those matters off your chest, because what you don't realize is that one small issue can change everything.
Did you actually try anything that didn't work?
Yeah, I guess I probably tried a few things. Everybody said, you need to sleep and take this melatonin and all this sort of stuff. That certainly didn't work for me. It was a great effort, and I really appreciate the help there. The first psychologist I saw didn't help me. I just didn't feel like we had that straight up connection. But the second psychologist I saw was fantastic. So maybe that's something to keep in mind. That first psychologist you see, or that first counsellor, may not be the answer. It might be the second or the third, and it's just a matter of having a bit of a chat, because psychologists are like everyone. They've got personalities, and maybe it just doesn't match. So.
And can you tell me a little bit about where you're at now? I know you're on the road to recovery.
Yeah, where am I at now? Look, it's been 2 years since sort of everything started. I've moved towns. I've moved to the Big Smoke. I've started full-time uni. I've left the previous industry that I was in, and just created a whole fresh start for myself. And that was the best thing that I ever did, because it took away a lot of the stress of my hometown, a lot of the pressures that I felt at the hometown, and I can just sort of be me. I do a lot of mental health advocacy now.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Ryan. Thanks for joining us. And we look forward to hearing many more stories. And I look forward to seeing you continue your recovery for many more years to come. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, Chris, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. And if anybody out there is struggling, it's just important to seek professional help. Ring Lifeline, seek Beyond Blue, that sort of stuff. And have a bit of a chat to them if you need some help. Thank you.
And on next week's episode of Barn Yarns, we chat to Ryan, a 24-year-old sheep